Hello everyone, this is Omega Rider 1. Today I'm going to discuss Gundam versus Macross. Both of these series have gained quite a bit of fame in the many years that they've actually been out and, pushing out titles. Ever since 1979 with Yoshiki Tomino's original Mobile Suit Gundam, the real robot genre has actually picked up a lot of speed in Japanese pop culture. Gundam's still going strong, even though the recent things have not been up to speed. But the same can be said of Macross, due to my friend, the Anime Overviewer's recent review of Macross Frontier, showing that it's very apparent that these two series are in serious danger. However, today I'm going to be discussing the two series side by side in comparison on the criteria that he uses: story, characters, art, animation, and music. 5 different areas, and I'll give you not my rating overall of the series by 1 to 5 or anything like that. What I'm going to do is just say which I think is better and simply why it's better. That's all. And I know both sides have equal amounts of fanboys, and I will not get into that. Or at least I'm not trying to upset any of the particular sides, but really, it's going to happen anyway. But I will actually confront some of the fanboyish points on both sides, with both Macross and with Gundam. But first, I want to take a look into the tech that we're talking about, as well as the background. Mobile Suit Gundam started in 1979 with Yoshiki Tomino's original Mobile Suit Gundam, which was not immediately popular with the crowds, but critical acclaim did manage to allow it to win both the 1979 and the 1980 Anime Grand Prix. Essentially, it's one of the few animes to actually win two years in a row. And by few, there are some in the recent years, mostly in the 90s, that actually won 2 straight years in a row, like Yu Yu Hakusho and Evangelion. But that's neither here or there. However, ever since then, Gundam has been one of the most popular series of all time, second only to possibly the Dragon Ball series as the most popular anime series of all time. With in merchandise sales, the original, Zeta, Gundam Seed, and Gundam Seed Destiny all place in the second, third, fourth, and fifth ranks for merchandise sales. That's actually pretty impressive, but that was like a while ago. I don't even know what it might be now, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to what it was then. Macross, on the other hand, got its start in the 80s, along with Zeta Gundam. It was a series developed by Shoji Kawamori and decided to take a new look at what real robots could be, which was the transformable Veritech fighter, the variable fighter, whichever you want to do, starting with the Valkyrie. It was a series that focused more on the storyline and the characters themselves rather than the battles, and I think that it did take a new approach to it that was fresher than what Gundam was bringing at the time. Though Gundam was more about the war and about the characters' reactions to it and their participation in it, rather than just the characters themselves and how they were affected by it. As well as looking at the stories themselves, you gotta look at the technology. Gundam is very grounded in realistic physics and science and scientific areas. That's within our grasp within the next 100 years at least. Except for probably G, because again that's running on super robot physics, and we're not even going to try and get into that. And maybe certain aspects of the Turn A systems with the nanites and everything, but that could actually be possible. And yeah, certain aspects like the psycho frame and all that kind of stuff, of course, is not going to be 100% accurate, but for the most part, a lot of stuff that we see in Gundam can be replicated within the next couple of years if we really set our mind to it. Meanwhile, Macross is more like Star Trek. If I had to compare the two series, it'd pretty much be like Star Wars versus Star Trek. Star Wars has a little bit more grounding in actual scientific endeavors. Basically, we can actually replicate a lot of the stuff that we see in Star Wars, at least, and it does have some of those mystical elements to it. Meanwhile, Star Trek is a bit over the top with some of its stuff. I mean, yes, we see the warp drive in Star Wars as well, but we don't see it used quite that often. And when we see in Star Trek, we see some really ridiculous stuff. And like, not that Star Wars didn't have any ridiculous things, but at least like you know, Gundam didn't have any gods in its series, or just these utterly magical forces that were like on a constant basis. Again, the power of music is a central theme to Macross. You know, that it can either boost you up to a point of like, superhuman ability, or it can bring down your opponents. This is mostly coming off of Macross Frontier, where the power of music was able to influence the Vajra, which were an actual an organic race. Pretty much, they were influenced by music. And in Macross 7, yes, it borderlined on super robot physics. But yes, using that, coming off from that comparison, it might not be 100% accurate, but it's as close as I can get to coming off of like what the feeling of this series is for those who have never seen Gundam or never seen Macross. But if you've probably never seen either of these two series, you're probably not even watching this video. Anyway, the first topic I'll get onto is the storylines of Gundam and Macross, and how they play out in their respective series, and which one do I think is better. Anyway, this is Omega Rider 1, and I will see you next time.